Selena, Pablo's secretary, and I were kidnapped together. The police located the hideout, and in desperation, the kidnapper pointed his gun at us, forcing Pablo to choose one. In front of our child, the man I'd been married to for years chose the other woman without hesitation. A gunshot rang out. Our son screamed, "Mom!" Everyone thought I was dead. When I opened my eyes, all I saw was Pablo clutching the bleeding hole in his chest, collapsing into a pool of blood. Chapter 1. Another shot. Before the police could intervene, the kidnapper shot himself. I broke free from the ropes and rushed to Lucas, pulling him into my arms. "Lucas, don't be afraid. Mommy's here, next to us." The other woman threw herself sobbing over Pablo's corpse. Amid her dramatic wails, I saw a faint silhouette rise from Pablo's body, forming his ghostly image, floating midair, but apparently only I could see it. He stared in disbelief at his corpse, then reached out with a loving gaze to brush Selena's hair. Not a single glance for his wife, not a single look at the 5-year-old son, who had just witnessed 2 murders. A police officer approached. "Ma'am, we'll need you to come to the station to sign the report. And regarding Mr. Pablo's body, once the examination's done, should we?" I glanced at the woman still clutching his corpse. Voice calm and cold. "We won't be claiming the body. Please follow the standard process, send it straight to cremation." Pablo looked at me, shocked and conflicted. Selena shot up, furious. "Helen, how could you?" Pablo was the chairman of the group. "You can't just." I interrupted her, icy calm. "And you are? What right do you have to comment on Pablo's arrangements? Let me remind you, I am his wife. That means not just his funeral, but also all his assets are under my control." Apparently I hit a nerve. Selena exploded. "You were going to divorce anyway. Pablo and I had plans. If this hadn't happened, you'd get nothing. I bet you hired those kidnappers. This is all your setup." One of the officers who had just witnessed Pablo choosing his mistress over his wife couldn't take it. "Miss, they're married. They even have a child. Why are you doing this?" Selena snapped. "None of your business. Pablo and I had true love." Floating above, Pablo still looked heartbroken for her, as if he could rise from the dead to protect her again, just like he used to do in front of me. Too bad. He's dead now. Chapter 2. Pablo and I. We used to be deeply in love. We were childhood sweethearts, from high school to marriage. A love story everyone envied. At our wedding 6 years ago, Pablo held my hand, crying uncontrollably, as he read the vows he'd spent 3 sleepless nights writing. He said, "Helen, I've imagined marrying you 1,000 times. When did it all change?" I no longer remember. Maybe it started when he began forgetting every holiday, every anniversary. Maybe it was the increasingly late nights at work, the growing indifference, the impatience. So when I, pregnant and exhausted, caught him fooling around with Selena in the office, it hurt so much I nearly passed out. But honestly, I wasn't surprised. I didn't divorce him immediately, because the company we co-founded was still in his hands. For the sake of my child, I needed money, so I endured. I endured Selena's fake smiles and backhanded provocations, endured Pablo's harsh words, his cold disdain, and finally, God didn't disappoint me. The time came. He may have been useless alive, but dead? Well, a dead man has his uses. Pablo's parents had passed years ago. He'd cut ties with extended family, which meant control of the company now fell into my hands. Chapter 3. After we left the police station, Pablo's spirit continued to follow me. It wasn't by choice. Something invisible seemed to bind him to me. I took Lucas home. It took a while to settle everything. Lucas had always been by my side. He barely had any impression of Pablo, his father who only wired money but never showed up. I gently patted Lucas to sleep. "Don't worry, Lucas. Mommy will always protect you." At just 5 years old, he was heartbreakingly mature. He held my hand instead. "I'm not scared. As long as I have you. If Daddy won't protect you, I will." I kissed his forehead. After he fell asleep, I went into the living room. No lights, just a cigarette glowing in the dark. In its flicker, Pablo's ghostly figure appeared and disappeared. He muttered, "You call yourself a mother? You should get Lucas a therapist. And what kind of kid doesn't cry when his own father dies?" I stubbed out the cigarette, spoke calmly into the darkness. "If donating sperm and wiring money counts as fatherhood, then sure, guess I didn't teach him well enough." Pablo darted forward, stunned. "You can see me? Hear me? Of course. This is great. Helen, listen, you can't keep all my money. Selena stuck by me for 5 years. She's just a girl. Give her half." I let out a laugh so cold it turned into a cough. "Your money? Pablo, don't kid yourself. That's all marital property. Selena won't get a single cent. And I'm going to make her vomit back everything you wasted on her." Pablo roared. "Helen, what have you become? If you're mad, take it out on me. Leave her out of it." I stared at him, this ghost still blinded by love, and said, "You're already dead. Stop meddling," no matter how much he raged. I ignored him, and began preparing for the board meeting. I'd let those two have their fun long enough. It was time to settle the score. Chapter 4. The company was founded by Pablo and me right after we graduated. We were once inseparable, lovers and comrades. Later, when the business stabilized, I chose to return to school for further studies. Then came Lucas. All responsibilities of the group were handed over to Pablo. But the deeper I dug into the company's finances, the more horrifying the discoveries became. Pablo had already started playing tricks, quietly shifting assets under his own name. If he hadn't died so suddenly, by the time we divorced, Lucas and I would have been left with less than 1% of what was originally ours. Now, with the group in turmoil, I called an emergency board meeting. Almost everyone attended. Selena, as board secretary, stood to the side. I tossed a stack of documents in her direction. "Make copies of this for all board members. And I don't drink green tea. Go get me an Americano from the cafe downstairs." Selena, the so-called board secretary, looked at me like she'd never done this job before, eyes wide. She snapped, "Helen, who are you to order me around? Don't push it." I couldn't help but scoff, pulling a smirk. "What? Pablo promoted you to board secretary, and you can't even do the basics of your job?" Across the table sat Ryan, a middle-aged board member. He glanced at Selena's about-to-cry face and tried to smooth things over with a chuckle. "Mrs. Helen is joking. Of course. Selena's the executive secretary. She can delegate these tasks to someone else." I looked up. I might have been away for a while, but I believe I still hold the rotating CEO title, right? "Ryan, you're the one joking. Call me CEO Helen." "Thanks. Delegate to someone else?" If I'm not mistaken, a secretary is the one being delegated to. If she can't handle something this simple, she doesn't deserve to be in the board office. Ryan had nothing more to say. Selena, face green with rage, stormed off to do the task. Pablo floated nearby, furious. "Don't bully Selena." "Oh, asking someone to do their job is now bullying?" I tuned out Pablo's lovesick ghost babble. So annoying. Chapter 5. I sat at the head of the table, coldly watching each shareholder who now, after Pablo's death, wore their own masks. Ryan, the one who had just spoken up for Selena, was wealthy and arrogant. "Helen, we're all very sorry for what happened to Pablo. But the company still has to move forward, right? The group's performance has been poor these past few years, but I do feel attached to it. So how about this? Between your shares and Pablo's, that makes 51%. You name your price, I'll buy them all." I didn't respond, just swept my gaze over the other board members. As expected, he wasn't the only one who couldn't wait. Another man stood up. "Ma'am, I've been in this company the longest. You know how close Pablo and I were. Why not hand the shares to me instead? Pablo would rest in peace that way." Funny, it was me who had chosen this business track for the company. The very one now leading the market. The one bringing in all the profits. But clearly, these old men had forgotten who the real expert in this field was. I calmly took a sip of my coffee, then slowly opened my mouth. "Oh, Who said I was selling? Looks like I need to reintroduce myself. I'm Helen, rotating CEO of the group. PhD in business from Beihua University. Currently associate professor at Qingqing University. The room fell silent. I noticed Selena, having finished refilling water, stood next to Ryan, and subtly brushed her thigh against his resting hand. After a moment, Ryan chuckled. Come now, sister-in-law. Don't take it that way. We're just worried the company might distract you from your academic work. I'm sincerely offering to buy. Think it over. I smiled slightly. Of course, selling the shares isn't entirely off the table. Chapter 6. The moment I said that, everyone perked up. Before selling, I'll need to review the group's operations and asset allocations in full. Once that's done, we can talk numbers. I have one strength. I'm direct. Let me make this clear. When I do sell, it'll be to the highest bidder. Let's see who's truly sincere. Pablo, floating nearby, frowned at me. To the highest bidder? Helen, since when did you become so money-obsessed? I spent years building this company. I can't just let anyone take over. I ignored him and turned another page in my file. It detailed every expense Pablo made on Selena over the years. The amount was staggering. Hard to believe that a man who threw cash at his mistress so lavishly would argue with me over the cost of Lucas's study trip to Europe. I spoke while sorting my late husband's assets. I came across something worth disclosing. After all, our company is publicly listed. Pablo used company funds to purchase 3 villas in Qingqing, worth 200 million yuan, all under Selena's name. Misuse of company funds. That's prison time. Pablo may be dead, but Selena is very much alive. Gasps filled the room. Everyone knew about Pablo and Selena. Now they were all staring at her. I turned to Selena. By the way, every cent Pablo spent on you during our marriage is part of our marital assets. I'm demanding it back. Selena went pale, mumbling, trying to explain, but the words misuse of funds had her too stunned to speak. I looked her over, smiled faintly. That outfit, C-Brand's latest release, right? With your salary. Could you afford that? If you bought it with my money, I want it back. Selena instinctively clutched her clothes. Pablo hovered over her, distressed, wanting to shield her. Helen, you're disgusting. I gave her the houses, the cars. It was my money. You have no right to take anything from her. I stared at these two lovers, one alive, one dead, still trying to play the tragic couple. I remembered the first time Pablo said he liked me, how shy he'd been, remembered how gentle he was when he loved me, how he used to say I was his everything, remembered the tears in his eyes at our wedding. And yes, I also remembered that filthy, pathetic body of his, pressed against Selena in the office, his eyes full of fear, as he shielded her behind him, and barked at me like I was the intruder, over and over again. Until now, I no longer felt grief, not even anger, just cold silence. Chapter 7. The villas under Selena's name, including the one she currently lived in, were all reclaimed by the group. I didn't rush to send her to prison. She still had her uses. After finishing the audit of company assets, I received a message from Ryan. He was the first to approach me about buying shares. I deliberately arrived a few minutes late. The meeting room door was ajar, and from inside came the flirtatious sounds of a man and woman. Baby, come closer, closer. Aw. Ryan, not so rough. Pablo, floating beside me, muttered. Ryan's completely lost his shame, flirting in the office? He's a horny old dog. Can't be trusted. I'm warning you, don't sell your shares to him. I silently pushed the door open. The pair inside, mid-act, was none other than Ryan and Selena. She was perched sideways on his lap, his hand on her chest, his head buried in her neck. Ryan was more than 20 years older than Selena, and looked every bit the greasy sleaze. Hard to believe Selena could even kiss that. Pablo was shocked, eyes full of betrayal and rage. Selena? With Ryan? That be *TCH. She said it was true love, that I was the only one. She was lying the whole time. I've only just died. and she couldn't even wait to find a new man? When I entered, neither of them looked particularly embarrassed. After tidying up a little, they calmly sat side by side. Selena threw a bank card in front of me, with a smug look, said she was here to return the money Pablo had spent on her. I couldn't help but sneer. Didn't expect Ryan's taste to be so similar to my late husband's. Ryan pulled Selena into his arm. I saw her first. Pablo just beat me to it. Then he leered at me, eyes roaming. You know, you're a beauty too. Wasted all those years locked up by Pablo. Why not give me a chance? Before I could reply, Pablo exploded. You disgusting pig. Look at yourself. How dare you? I frowned, staring at Ryan's lecherous face. What exactly do you want? Ryan took a drag of his cigarette. Unbothered. I want your shares. Name your price. 50 billion. Are you f***ing kidding me? The entire group isn't even worth that much. I smiled coldly, then raised my hand and splashed my coffee straight onto his face. Exactly. I am messing with you. If you want to talk business, learn to clean your mouth. And next time, don't bring someone unworthy. My eyes don't tolerate filth. Selena shot to her feet, pointing at me. What the hell do you mean by that? Helen? Don't push me too far. I calmly raised the cup again, and splashed her square in the face. Dark coffee dripped down her hair and cheeks. However disgusting you are, that's how cold I'll be, frankly. This splash should have happened 5 years ago. Chapter 8. 5 years ago, I was pregnant with Lucas. It was also the year I discovered Pablo's affair. By my 8th month of pregnancy, our relationship had hit rock bottom. The company was expanding, and Pablo barely had time for the family, let alone his pregnant wife. Patience, frustration, arguments, avoidance. I thought it was just a phase, something every couple had to work through together. I suppressed my pregnancy hormones, suppressed the depression from Pablo's constant neglect. I tried to smile, tried to talk, tried to fix things. I still held out hope that we could go back to how we were, but reality made a joke of all my efforts. On our wedding anniversary, after going alone to a prenatal checkup, I bought a gift and rushed to the office to surprise Pablo, only to be met with something that shattered me completely. Outside his office, I saw Selena half undressed, straddling Pablo's lap, while his hands roamed freely across her body. Baby, what if your wife finds out? Her? She's dumb as a rock now that she's pregnant. She believes everything I say. She'll never find out. Aw, easy. That hurts. Shoo, you're way better than her. She's getting fatter every day, and keeps nagging me. I can't even feel like a man at home anymore. I pushed the door open with trembling hands. I hadn't even spoken when Pablo sprang up in panic, rushing to cover Selena, as if I was the intruder. I nearly passed out from the rage, but for the child in my belly, I fought to keep my emotions in check. I coldly scolded Pablo, but not only did he show no guilt, he had the audacity to criticize me right in front of Selena. Helen, why do you always act so superior? So arrogant, like no one's good enough for you. I work so hard. I'm under pressure every day. Do you think I want to serve clients at work and come home to serve you? Selena chimed in. Yeah, Helen, have you ever stopped to think maybe you are the problem? Me? The problem? My heart seized, and I fainted. The last thing I saw was Pablo's panicked face, rushing toward me. Lucas was born prematurely. Pablo cried and swore he'd end things with Selena, but deep down, I knew there was no going back. Of course I knew. He never broke it off. They only grew more entangled. But I didn't care anymore. Song Yen was stabilizing. It was about to go public. For Lucas, nothing else mattered. Chapter 9. After Pablo's death, I became the wealthy widow that everyone talked about. Ryan's usual mafia-style threats didn't dare touch me, with money and shares in hand. Life after losing a husband was surprisingly freeing, but accidents come fast. I was suddenly cyberbullied. An anonymous post online questioned whether Pablo's death was really an accident. They exposed how Pablo and I had a long-standing marital rift. Even uploaded video clips of our arguments. and screenshots of Pablo's life insurance policies. Heard the CEO of Songyen died. And his wife didn't even take his body, just sent it straight to cremation. No funeral either. Damn, that's cold. Maybe she hired the kidnapper herself? But like, she's rich. Would she really kill for insurance? It's not the insurance. It's the company, all those assets. Still, it's joint marital property. That's shady. Whoever posted it clearly expected the backlash, because the second wave came fast. Videos of Pablo cheating, evidence of funds being moved under the table. The topic exploded. Okay, I believe it now. Maybe she really did it. He just did what all men do. This is literally a revenge drama. All that, just because he cheated? She's terrifying. Online chaos aside, the next morning, the police came knocking. Ma'am, sorry to disturb you. We'll need your cooperation for further questioning. At the station, I calmly explained how Pablo cheated during my pregnancy, betrayed the family, and moved marital assets in secret. Pablo sat next to me the whole time, listening in silence. I was calm, no anger, no emotion, but Pablo first began to tear up, then collapsed, clutching his head, sobbing uncontrollably. Honestly, I didn't know ghosts could cry. Chapter 10. The statement didn't take long. It matched what the police already had. I went home. Pablo followed. Lucas had a school project, a family photo album. The floor was a mess of cut-up photos. Right by the door was a picture of me and Pablo at graduation. I paused for a moment. Pablo's voice came, low and soft. Helen, are you okay? I'm sorry. I was wrong. Tears streamed down his ghostly face, but my expression remained calm. That sorry. I'd waited for it for far too long. When he hung up on me with the excuse of working late, when he snapped at me over house chores, when he forgot our anniversary. Back then, I didn't even know about the other woman. After every fight, I thought he'd come coax me like before, smile, apologize, beg for forgiveness. But I waited and waited. What I got was the cold tone of a busy signal, a colder attitude, and the sounds of him moaning with someone else in his office. From the moment he shielded Selena like I was the villain, the word sorry became a joke. I said nothing to Pablo. I simply picked up a few things and went out to pick up Lucas from school. Chapter 11. Lucas is a good kid. The one thing I never regretted about marrying Pablo was having Lucas. As soon as I reached his classroom, Lucas came running toward me, bouncing with joy. Mommy, Mommy, I missed you so much. I quickly bent down to hug him tight. I missed you too. Did you behave well at school today? Just then, Lucas's teacher came over. Lucas is the best behaved child in the class. He's bright and so considerate. The teacher gently found an excuse to send Lucas aside, then turned to me with a more serious tone. Miss Helen, today one of the kids got into an argument with Lucas, right in front of everyone. He said Lucas's mom killed his dad. At this age, personality is still forming. So I sincerely hope you can handle the situation carefully. For Lucas's sake. My face turned serious. I nodded repeatedly. Then the teacher handed me Lucas's photo album and a drawing. Also, this is one of Lucas's recent works. He's incredibly talented and imaginative. I really suggest nurturing his interest in art. I took the album. Inside were all pictures of just me and Lucas, and in the drawing titled My Family, he'd drawn the two of us, hand in hand, walking along the beach. Pablo saw it too. Lucas doesn't even see me as his dad? He turned to me, angry. Was it you, Helen? Have you been telling him to think this way? I looked him straight in the eyes. Do you even know what grade Lucas is in this year? Do you know his favorite color? What he loves to eat? What he's allergic to? I've said this before. If fatherhood only means making a child and sending money, then yes, I guess I did teach him wrong. Pablo was struck speechless. The fire in him instantly died. He lowered his head and followed behind me like a defeated ghost. Chapter 12. The fox who lays the bait is always the one most desperate for feedback. When I stayed silent, Ryan couldn't hold it anymore and called me directly. Helen. How about now? Interested in talking shares again? If not, I don't mind leaking more of what I've got. So it was him. I sneered. Is that all you've got in your little bag of tricks? He didn't even flinch. Seems you still don't understand how powerful the internet is. The truth? That can be bent. Even white can be painted black. Let's see if you and your son can still live peacefully after this. I shook my head, paused the recording, and hung up. Then I made another call. We've got it. Go ahead. The man on the other end had long pretended to be Pablo's best friend, using that name to gain favor everywhere. After I broke things off with Ryan, we struck a deal. He held countless recordings and photos of Pablo and Selena's affairs. Recently, under the guise of company safety, he installed a wave of new surveillance cameras. Ryan and Selena's little games had been captured in full clarity, and my recording? The final blow. He posted everything to Weibo under his own name, claiming he couldn't stand seeing the victim maligned. One by one, the evidence came out. The internet flipped. What a plot twist. Helen's the real victim here, married to an absolute scumbag, and blamed for everything. Gross. Ryan's like 50. Why is he still acting like a horny teenager? My poor eyes. Selena, homewrecker turned vengeful stalker. Ryan, shameless pervert who'll do anything for profit. And Pablo, the worst of them all, cheating on his pregnant wife. As for Lucas and me, our names and faces were intentionally kept out of it. Chapter 13. Another shareholder meeting. This time, Ryan didn't show up. Instead, his wife did. No, ex-wife. Ryan had only ever gotten where he was because of her family, all that wealth and status. It was her father's, not his. After getting involved with Selena, Ryan was foolish enough to let her convince him to start transferring marital assets into her name. Once their scandal was exposed, Ryan's wife caught on instantly. She divorced him without hesitation and kicked him out with nothing. As for Selena, after being fired from the company and left with no income, she stuck to Ryan, clinging to the pitiful scraps from his divorce. Ryan blamed her for everything. He'd beat her and used her to vent his sick, violent urges. At the end of the meeting, Ryan's ex-wife approached me, elegant, composed, sharp-eyed and shrewd. Helen, I owe you. If it weren't for you, I'd still be fooled by that fake smile of his. I smiled. You're too kind. I was only doing it for myself. She shook my hand, not with any sisterly chit-chat, but straight to the point. You've resigned from Songyen and sold off your shares. What are your plans now? I'll be direct. I've read your academic work. It's sharp and insightful. We'd like to invite you on board as our chief consultant. I looked at her in surprise, then gently declined. Lucas and I have decided to move abroad. I'm afraid I must turn you down. She laughed openly, didn't press the issue, just patted my shoulder, and left. As I walked out of the building, I reflexively turned to glance back. Pablo, who used to follow behind me like a shadow, was nowhere to be seen. The bright sunlight reflected off the tall glass walls, so dazzling I couldn't keep my eyes open. Just like that day, when Pablo and I, hand in hand, scouted this building for our future company. So many years had passed. The sun still hangs in the sky, but everything beneath it has changed. Mom, hurry up or you'll get sunburned. Lucas leaned out from the car window, waving with all his might. I smiled and ran toward him. Coming! Extra, Helen's monologue. Ironically, the netizens actually got one thing right. Yes, I did kill Pablo. To be precise, he died within my plan. Moving abroad with Lucas was a decision I made 5 years ago. 5 years of quiet patience, waiting for Lucas to grow up, and for the right moment. After Song Yan went public, Pablo got arrogant, reckless. He made too many enemies. Sam, who got fired just for saying a few things at a dinner party, was one of them. He was human garbage, and my carefully chosen weapon. He gambled, lost everything, drained even his parents' retirement funds. But even monsters sometimes have a heart. When his daughter got seriously ill, I paid to keep her breathing. I gave that money not as Pablo's wife, but as Lucas's mother. I told him Pablo had cheated him on compensation, that the exact amount I gave was what he'd been denied. With his rage, it only took a nudge. He made Pablo his personal vendetta. But Sam wasn't stupid. He knew the one who hated Pablo most was me, so we made a deal. I would save his daughter and give her a future. He would give me an ending. He once asked me, why stage something so risky? Why not just kill Pablo quietly? I smiled. Truth is, part of me still hoped. That boy in white from our youth left a mark I couldn't erase. Many nights, I woke crying from dreams of him. This play could have been stopped any time. I had countless ways to ruin him, but it was he who pulled the trigger when he chose to save Selena over me. That moment was the final bullet through the heart of everything we once had. After the gunshot, all that remained was peace.